Yeah. Wait, should we record this? Because I saw this on my feed and I was going to leave a comment and I saw your comment on it. And then I
Yeah.
didn't even end up leaving my comment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay.
Okay. When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing towards those big vision board business goals.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. There were so many good ones, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content, anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeline Daigan. And this is
hashtag
managed. I think it's perfect.
I like it. I like it. Welcome back to another episode of Hashtag Managed. We're about to dive back into our conversation with Heather Kerrison of Wild Media Co. In case you missed it, we dropped the first half of this interview on Monday. Now, let's get into what the biggest marketing moment of last year was and why this is a prime example of founder-led marketing. I always like to talk about when I'm doing creating any content strategies. I always like to think about, what's sticky, what's the sticky marketing route we can take. And I always think it always comes back to the founder's story. Some portion or another, like storytelling is I think I know we put it on our 2025 predictions. I think we had it in our 2024. We're really just trying to hound the point that storytelling is so important. It's here to stay, especially in a world that is so AI driven. And I think AI, again, I don't want to get us off topic, but I think it definitely plays its part. But storytelling is really, it's that human connection that you just can't beat. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I think
And
the
it
fact that you have so many brands that you love and talk about and you know those stories, like that's sticky, that's stuck with
yeah.
you.
And even I'll give an example from 2024 because I think it was one of the biggest marketing moments of 2024. I previously did not know who he was, but there was the Stanley Cup incident where a car caught on fire. A girl made a completely organic video on her own account about how when she went to her car, which was completely burned, the Stanley in it was still fine. And literally there was still ice in it. You could hear it jiggling around when she picked it up. That video went so viral and they could never have paid for a more amazing testament to the quality of their product. And then they reacted quickly, like within a couple days, this video goes insanely viral. Their founder gets on TikTok, a face video saying, "Hey, we saw your story. We're so moved by it. We want to buy you a replacement vehicle." And obviously, like give you Stanley gear and all that kind of stuff. So now you've had this amazing kind of review that couldn't have been better in terms of the quality of your product. You have this story that's now insane and it's building. They're building onto the story. The founder has gotten involved and shown his face. You've been reactive in the proper moment. And it's goodwill marketing. All of a sudden you're like, wow, like Stanley just stepped in and they're going to buy this girl a car. Meanwhile, I'm like, trust me, the car costs less than what it would have cost them to get the exposure that they got the brand, that she got the brand from that video. Literally that year after that happened, I got a Stanley. It's not that I had never heard of the brand before. I obviously was very aware of the culture that was already building around Stanleys, and everyone had one. But that made me want one. I was like, first of all, I mean, again, you couldn't get a better testimony to the quality of the product. But I just loved the way they reacted to that and the way that they just stepped into the story. And I was just so impressed that I was like, I'm going to get one. And I know for a fact that their sales skyrocketed in that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably agree with you that I think that is hands down one of the best 2024 marketing moments. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
I don't want to jump the gun here, but like, I don't know, maybe of our decade. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll have to all collectively come back in a few years and really think. But it was, again, like you said, the reach of that, and it was all organic. It was so genuine, and I think that's one thing that you people know, like we are in such like the communities of all of these businesses, like, we have so much education and knowledge and power at our hands as consumers than ever before. And the fact that, the CEO, which who knows, I'm assuming he's probably never done a video on social media prior to that point. I mean, probably
Yeah.
not. So just, the fact that he acted so quickly, like you said, jumped on it. It was, goodwill, really kind-hearted, and it really it paid off. I mean, again, like you said, you can't I mean, you can buy that kind of marketing, but again, those brands are not even hitting the mark, and they're spending, how much, 8 billion on Super Bowl ads and all, on their influencer
Right.
marketing, all of this stuff. Again, a lot the car was a lot cheaper depending,
Yeah. The
depending
car
on
cost them in terms of like cost per view, not that much, really.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Every marketer's dream to have some sort of moment like that, and again, with virality comes good things and comes bad things. Right now I think,
Yeah.
we'll stick to the positive side for this episode's sake. But kind of segueing us a little bit, we talked, obviously that happened on TikTok, and that was very real time, and that's very much TikTok as a platform.
Yeah.
But there are always new platforms that are popping up. Obviously, platforms are changing. A couple weeks ago, Instagram had a lot of really big, let's call them earth-shattering updates. Grid changes, different things that people are just like, "Whoa!" Had no, didn't expect it, but it happens all the time. What's your advice to adopting new platforms or adjusting with new updates in strategies, either for your experience of working with clients or for other marketers?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it the answer in two parts because I think my approach to new features versus new platforms is very different. When it comes to new features, I'm always interested in them and I will try them personally first, whether it be on my brand account or my personal account. Because the fact of the matter is that whether it's TikTok or Instagram being the main platforms that I work on, when they put out a new feature, they typically are basically incentivizing you to use it. So usually you might see more reach, for example, if you utilize a new feature that they are providing you. So I'm always curious to try that. For example, one of the big changes that's been happening on Instagram lately is trial reels. And I know that a lot of people at first were kind of like, what is the point of doing that? Of putting out a reel that doesn't go to your followers? And if anything, I thought, well, that's actually amazing because the typical algorithm essentially shows your content to followers first, at least some of them, sees how they react to it. And then depending on that information, it decides whether it's going to push it out further or not. But if you want to be very outreaching in your content, you can use trial reels so strategically, but I'll start playing around with that on my own content first. And then wait to kind of delineate that information to clients because you can't know the day one of a new feature how it's going to react, so making any recommendation at that point is not based in data, let's say. So I do try to definitely stay on top of new features and be watching them. It's kind of funny that you're hashtag managed. There's always so much conversation about hashtags that is typically not based in any real metrics at all, just thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
I like to be data driven, so I can still see the reach that certain hashtags get and stuff like that. So I'll stick
Mhm.
to those metrics. And then in terms of platforms, I'm not quick to jump. Something that that also happened in 2024 was Threads came on to the field, and it exploded in the first week. And yeah, there was people, I swear, in the first week saying, "Oh, we're already offering this as a service, this, that, and the other." I would say it would be easier if you maybe had if you have an in team marketing, if you have in-house marketing. But in terms of an
Mm-hmm.
agency, first of all, not until very recently was there any way to schedule threads.
Mhm.
And therefore, there's also not any way to be in multiple accounts at once. So there's huge challenges in terms of agencies even being able to adopt it. But also, we had no idea where it was going. And sure, it's kind of has its own ethos now. But what I noticed with Threads was week one, week two, it's huge. Everyone's posting them to their feed. It's so much buzz, and then just off a cliff. No
Mhm.
one's really talking about it. No one's like, you know what I mean? So it's you got to sit back a little and see where something is going. Like I'm saying, if you have in-house marketing and they have the bandwidth to fully take on another platform, sure, maybe get on there and play and start seeing if you have an audience that's coming over and if they're interested. But I think that people get a little too excited about being on as many platforms as once and not being really strategic about where their audience is and therefore where they should put their efforts.
Yeah.
I'm actually
Yeah.
I'm actually so glad you brought up in-house marketing because and threads at the same time, because I've been an in-house marketer and not, and then also not. I've, worked for agencies, so on and so forth. So I've seen it all, but I feel when I have been an in-house marketer, it has been easier for me to, hop on to, I don't want to say trends, like yes, trends, but because with threads, it's very much like Twitter where that social listening, you have to be on constantly. And
Yeah.
something that I've noticed about even your own content is that you're always so quick when it comes to me marketing, like hilarious. Again, if you're not following Wild Media Co, you need to do that immediately. But I also know that you've done some great user generated content collaborations. Can you share a time when a meme or a user generated content campaign really took off for you and what you think made it so successful?
Yeah, I think a good example that I'll give for is that I definitely do user generated content campaigns like on their own, but typically when I have social media clients that are, retainer month over month clients, something that I'll kind of incorporate into their strategy is using myself as user generated content. So,
Mhm.
how I explain this to brands sometimes is honestly, people like certain messages when they're not coming from an entity. It's kind of the same thing. So, if they don't really have someone that's being the face of the brand, you kind of think of it like this, like in Toronto, for example, where I am, there's all these influencers and creators that are like telling you the best places to eat, cool activities that you can go do in the city. And so I will make a video like that and post it on my personal page. And it feels a lot more like a friend being like, hey, I have this insider tip, rather than a brand being like, ta-da, like we're going to host this event. It's not as exciting, right? So this client that I was working for last year, they were actually an arts-based client, but they do this fundraiser that is a vintage designer sale. So they source like all this clothing and bags and shoes and stuff, and then they have like this massive sale, and everything that's made from it is it's like a fundraiser. So they obviously wanted as many people as possible to come to it. So with the art world, typically there's always like a preview night, right? Which is really helpful for events. If an event is going to run for the weekend, typically like a Thursday will be the preview night. Certain people get to go. Maybe it's invite only, and then that content that comes from that will push to the rest of the weekend. So I go on the preview night one, and I make this video being like, hey, I found out that there's this amazing vintage designer sale in Toronto. I'm showing the prices. I did kind of like a more of like a fun voiceover, like, oh my God, you're not gonna believe this. This is so crazy. Like showing actual prices and like how drastic it is. And, I think I started the video with, I got the inside scoop on a designer vintage sale that's happening in the city this weekend. And I did not post, I created content for the brand too, but I posted it on my personal account. And on Instagram, I think it got like 70,000 views. And yeah, I don't think that they had a problem with the amount of people that were coming to the sale over the weekend. So yeah, I think that is like just a prime example of how valuable it can be to have people that are just kind of representing your brand and having messaging about your brand that's not coming from the brand specifically, because it just feels a little bit more personal when, for example, it's probably mostly women that would be interested in something like that. It's another Toronto girl being like, hey, guys, I got the inside scoop on this amazing sale. Like the prices are crazy. You can find all these designer finds. And people went wild for it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I love that, and amazing results too, like on the reach of that reel. Because of course, I don't know the specifics of the followers or reach that the account that the brand gets, but I guarantee if they posted that, I don't know, would it reach maybe low thousands? Some, but certainly not, 7 times, 10 times, however many more views it got. And I think that's a true testament at, there's a right medium for content for
Yeah.
different things. And I often see so many times brands are, we hear all the time. I think UGC is so great for like social proof and like this. Like I'd rather hear from someone who used this life-changing wellness product and they have, healed their gut or, cleared their acne or whatever the product is for, versus a product company saying, yeah, use this product for, 30, 60, 90 days and it'll go away. And then maybe you see a before and after photo, or maybe you see a testimonial of someone, just text on a pretty branded Canva graphic that says, I use this product for, 30 days and, I have way more energy or something like that. But
Right.
versus, you have a video from someone who's posting it, whether on their personal, and then maybe if you're pulling that into that account strategy, but they're talking about, I've tried everything. I'm so tired of having to drink, coffee at 3 p.m. every single day. Like using this product, I don't drink coffee at all. And I just feel I feel 20 years younger. I have so much energy. I can run around in circles. So like, there's just so much power, I think, in UGC content. So I love that you brought that example for people to really hear like how they can create for, because I think all of the people who listen to this podcast are content creators in their own right of their own
Yeah.
accounts. They're posting on, their Instagrams, their TikToks, and they're always thinking like, we're always thinking for our clients, like, how do we generate more ROI? And sometimes it's, not even reinventing the wheel. It's just thinking slightly outside of the box, like, okay, this
Yeah.
video is probably better off from my personal or from someone else on the teams who is an actual customer or clientele of that brand.
Yeah. And I think I've even made this comparison before because I'll notice it even happen in my personal life, that those first person like recommendations from like a user, UGC, it's almost like the effect of a group chat, right? So I, for example, friend was getting married. I'm in a group chat with the bridesmaids. Someone just randomly sends a message one day. I think maybe it was Nick's. It was like, it was either Nick's or Spanx, but it was like, girls, like, by the way, they're having a sale. I'm grabbing some of their like compression underwear, the thong one. It's great. It's really comfortable. It doesn't like hurt. Some of them are too tight, like from different brands. I've tried this one. It actually is super comfortable. It'll fit well under the bridesmaids' dresses. I'm going to order it while it's on sale, kind of thing. And it's like they quite literally sent the discount page, like, hey, it's on sale right now, here's my review. And it's like, this is my friend. Like, I'm pretty sure we all ordered one. But it's like, imagine that you can mimic that in your own marketing and how much more effective that is than just saying, hey, we're having a sale. If you have people that are speaking on your behalf, they're like, guys, honestly, like, I'm a huge fan of this brand. These are so comfortable. All those pain points that you usually have, like, maybe it's usually kind of uncomfortable or like digs into you. This is not like that. It's 20% off right now. So if you want something like this, good time to buy it. It's like, that's going to lead to a lot more sales than just like announcing that you're having a sale.
I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we
See, everyone's an
need
influencer.
I was just gonna say, I feel like we need our own Nick's code right now. Like, I wish we could
I
insert that
know.
into the
No,
podcast
we need
episode
Hyping
like
later.
them
I'm like,
so hard.
I'm like,
we
be
need
sure
like
to
Heather
add
20 or
10.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Sim,
mean,
Sim
that
says.
is the result of marketing so well. It's like, I've certainly bought things from NYX, but nothing crazy. I do love their bodysuits, but but to be honest, I'm like, I'm not like a massive customer of theirs, but I'm a fan, and I think
Mhm.
that's what gets lost on people. They think, I've even heard people say like, oh, I have a great product, I don't need, like, that kind of speaks for itself. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. There is way too much competition out there, and you need to have people. That's what brand awareness is at the end of the day. If you're in a stadium that's full of fans, even if they're all not buying from you right now, they're talking about you, they're recommending you, they're buying from you eventually. It's creating an ethos in which you can be a lot more successful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, oh, that's good. Okay, Heather, every week on the podcast, we do a what's on our feed. And so we'd love to know what's currently on your feed. What's on our feed this week? From trending topics to interesting conversations, here's what's been catching our attention lately.
Oh, the usual mix of I am trying something new where I'm doing a little bit more of like introductory posts, kind of talking about my story, like we were just saying, and like the brand itself, but always kind of tap into talking about new features when they come out. Like I'll explain something like trial reels, and I like tapping into occasionally like a cool trend or a fun sound if it can be on brand. So it's kind of usually a mix of those things, something a little bit more personal, maybe something we're doing for a client, a lot of explanatory, and maybe something a little fun. Oh, and I just started a series yesterday, which I think I'm going to really re-up on, where I've been asking ChatGPT to give insights on marketing, and the answers are pretty great. I think yesterday's was, I said to ChatGPT, tell me something that will fundamentally change the way that I think about social media, and he had a pretty great
Oh,
response.
I like that. That's really cool. I saw that. I saw you posted that on stories, but I didn't like really go full disclosure. I didn't go really deep into the
Yeah.
caption and read it, but that's really cool. I've been asking ChatGPT like um for like very random things. I'm sure you guys have seen it. And one of our team members went to a conference and it was recommended by a keynote speaker there. And she was basically like, ask ChatGPT like everything you know about me, like describe my ideal day. Or I don't know. I've been getting like kind of
Ooh,
like
I like that.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I've been asking it kind of similar questions to that. Like, given everything you know about me, like if I wasn't a marketer, like what would my role be? Like what would I do? Like these are just like random questions that I think we're always kind of putting in our own content.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know
You
what?
can,
I put so much into ChatGPT. I bet it knows way more about me than I know about me. So
yeah.
that's a fun series. I hope you keep that up because I'm intrigued to see what it keeps popping out.
Yeah. It can be very insightful.
I
Okay,
love
we
that.
also on the podcast each week we do our weekly report. So these are kind of like fire rapid questions. So what are you
hmm
currently reading?
Ooh, I am currently finishing about 60% through the last book in the Akator series, A Court of Thorn and
Oh.
Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
all the rage. I was like, not my typical read. I'm usually like a psychological thriller girly, but I
same.
was kind of
Okay.
bullied into reading them by just everyone around me talking about them incessantly. And I was like,
Right.
I will give it a try so I don't feel so left out. And this is the last book of the series. So I liked
Ooh,
it.
Okay, and then
awesome.
what are you eating?
Hmm. This time of year, more soup than normal. Current guilty pleasure is going out for ramen, which probably happens
Mm.
about once a week.
Okay, I love that. And then what are you playing?
Playing, I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I feel almost to my own detriment. I just really like to always be like learning things, listen to probably hours worth of podcasts per day. I do a walk every morning as well and listen. When I work out, I listen to the Big Booty Mixes. If you don't know them, they're great. They're kind of they're mixes. They're like blends of music, and that just
Mhm.
quiets my brain. I love it so much. And during the day, I usually listen to the Contemporary Blend when I work.
Okay. What are you currently obsessing over?
Hmm. A little bit like spring trends. I feel like I that's something that keeps me afloat during winter, just getting really excited about patterns and stuff that are coming out for spring. And I've been trying to intentionally get a little bit obsessed with personal content creation. So a goal of mine this year was to focus a little bit more, because as most people that work in social media, sometimes I sort of ghost my own account for a week or two at a time and don't really post much. And I decided to lean into the joy of sharing things that I like and my outfits and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that I've been spending a lot more time doing.
I please keep
Fun.
that up because you guys, Heather has the best fashion. Like The best fashion, in my opinion. Okay.
Thank you.
What's one thing you're recommending?
Definitely Knicks. I'm kidding. They did,
Well, we need to get a
Yeah.
promo code. Let's see if we can
yeah.
let's see if we can actually do that before this episode airs.
uh, they do have really fabulous bodysuits though. But this is a little bit of a weird one, but I feel like this was two things that have been kind of transformative for me in terms of like self-care is red light therapy. I've been using my mask, try to do it more religiously. I do notice a difference in my skin when I do that. So 20 minutes a day. And this, again, TikTok, I was influenced. I saw one video where this girl said, she actually was saying, I saw a video of another girl that said, you should put castor oil in your belly button to help with
Mhm.
digestion. And then she said, what she didn't say is that it makes you sleep like a rock. And I thought,
Huh.
I have bad digestion and I sleep poorly, so why not try it? And I feel like it's been transformative. I now put castor oil in my belly button every single night before bed.
Interesting.
Okay.
And I'm
I'm
so
going to have to
intrigued.
try that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a lot more questions from that's a wild thing to say, it feels like. But
No,
I
but
really just made this life decision based on one TikTok video, but I would recommend.
As we all typically do, I'm like, honestly, the amount of things that I have learned, like health, beauty, wellness, like mental health, like marketing, business, like on TikTok, I'm just like, why did we not all just grow up going to TikTok University?
I
Like,
know.
we
I can't believe the difference it's made for me. I'm like, why don't like doctors tell you this? It just I had to see a random girl's video
yeah,
on TikTok, but I think it
yeah.
works.
Yeah. The scary part is when they're like, "I've been doing this for years," and I'm like, "I've never thought about
I've
this. Like,
never
right.
heard of
why
this.
did you why did
Honestly,
you
like
Instagram?"
I'll hop off the Knicks train and I'll just say castor oil in general. What a hack. Like it's not that expensive.
Mhm.
Apparently it can cure digestion. It can help you sleep better. You can put it on your eyebrows. You can put it on your eyelashes. It helps them grow. You can put it in your hair. You can put it on your face. You can use it for anything. So I would suggest having a bottle of it.
Okay. And then I love that. And then what are you treating yourself to besides castor
Ooh,
oil?
this is a good one. Yeah. It's not too much. It's not very expensive. This is a good one. I just did like a little treat myself day on Friday. I don't do this very often. I actually thought I should make more of a habit of actually taking time. And I just was feeling, the winter blues a little bit. And I decided to take the day off and just I went on a long walk, which I do every morning, but then I went to this place in Toronto. It's like a thermal waters spa. So you basically just pay admission and you can do the thermal cycling, like, a hotter pool, sauna, cold plunge. Did that for a couple hours, got a smoothie bowl, got a pedicure, and yeah, it was like a great little afternoon recharge. But I think even just intentionally doing like the thermal cycling and just taking that time to relax is huge. So it's definitely a goal of mine to do that more intentionally more often.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good. Okay, I feel like I'm like taking notes over this whole episode, like things that I've got a book I'm pre-ordering. I'm gonna get like a bottle
Yeah.
of castor oil. No, so good, Heather. Thank you so much for those recommendations. And to close out again, we're ending this whole thing. We just want to know everything that Heather like uses, and she's influencing us because everyone is an
Yeah.
influencer, like we
Yeah.
covered. But we always love to find new sources of inspiration. I know we've talked about so many different creators and accounts, but do you have any other Instagram accounts that you follow, books you read, specific podcasts you listen to that you would recommend?
Yeah. Accounts is hard. I feel like I just follow such a wide breadth, not even just like marketing or anything. But in terms of podcasts, I do like to listen to Diary of a CEO, which is a good one,
I
has
love that
varying
one.
guests. Something that I listen to really religiously, like all their episodes each week, is Armchair Expert. So every week they have someone who, like one episode that's someone that's like kind of like into the entertainment business, like a movie star or something. They have one expert, so it could be like a neurologist. And then on Fridays, they do this Armchair Anonymous segment where it will be like a theme, and they have listeners that give their stories. So, and they're usually like hilarious, like, tell us about a disaster at a theme park, and then there'll be like 5 stories. So that's something that I kind of look forward to on Fridays. And then the other ones, I like hearing the stories of like the entertainers, and then also the information coming from experts. But really the experts is usually where I find myself across various platforms like Huberman's podcast. I'm just always looking to listen to people that are smarter than I.
Likewise. Yeah, likewise. Well, Heather, thank you so much for your time today, for sharing with us, and yeah, for just bringing your expertise in all things marketing for the hashtag managed audience. Where can our listeners find out more about you, Wild Media Co., your services? Where can we find you online?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram at Wild Media Co. If you want to see my personal fashion content, I'm at Heather_Kerrison. On TikTok, I am at Heather of Wild Media. And in terms of website, it's just wildmediaco.ca. But yeah, those would be the best places to connect.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again for your time. And thank you everyone for listening to our episodes this week with Heather. We'll have all of her links inside of the show notes of this episode that you can click right here in the podcast player, or you can go to hashtagmanage.com to get all of those links. And who knows, maybe some promo codes that we can, I don't know. I think we could kind of weasel them out. We've given so many free PR to a few businesses on this call. I think we need to incorporate some affiliate marketing to our favorite influencer, Heather. Well, thank you again, Heather. And we will catch you guys next week on another episode of Hashtag Managed. Being a social media manager can feel like folding a fitted sheet while you're trying to explain at the family reunion what it is you actually do online. But you don't have to do it alone. The Hashtag Managed Collective Mentorship is your weekly dose of business strategy, advice, and let's be honest, therapy. Grab your lunch, hop on our weekly lunch break coaching calls with myself and Maddie, and let's figure out how to thrive in this wild social media management world. Sign up now at hashtagmanaged.com/mentorship. Use code MANAGED for 20% off your mentorship. That's MANAGED. Join us now at hashtagmanaged.com/mentorship. We'll see you there at the next lunch break therapy sesh. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you made it this far, I think we've officially become internet besties. You can always call into the hashtag hotline and say hello, leave a review, or ask your burning questions.
Make sure you follow, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening from. Subscribe to the Social Club newsletter for our weekly email, and shoot us a DM over at hashtag managed on Instagram, letting us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode.